to be as good as they are.
Now, we are going to get the draft. Teams are going to swap sides, and already a huge adaptation coming out, right? We see EDG taking away the Senna, which should make us think, hey, Y4's champion pool is more limited this time around. We highlighted it before the first game. Jin Misfortune has been what he's going with. Kaisa now banned. We still have that Udyr open if EDG do want to go for that one in the first rotation. And another thing about it, right, you're going to Turbo Chem Tank. It does do quite well against the AP junglers that Weiwei loves to thrive on. Especially now that Renekton's gone, actually. It's going to be harder to go for those combos that V5 love.
Yeah, you're losing a lot of that early game that you had from the top side. You're also losing a lot of that safety you had with Y4 in the bot lane for the Senna. So no Kai'Sa this time around, so Viper will be on something different himself. But the Udyr left open, locked in. And now for V5, where do you want to go? Picking their top laner this early is not something we tend to see.
It's really, it's really interesting. We don't know if they're going to put resources into this. I do think Camille is a very safe, blind pickable, especially carry top laner. You're so mobile inside the lane, it's very hard to gank you. You set up very easily for those 2v2 and 3-man dives with your Hextech Ultimatum. We're already seeing the core combination come out. I think even though Galio could be a flex, when you typically see it in tandem with Camille, it usually does go towards that mid lane. So, you do have more opportunity to go towards the top half of the map.
Well, the Galio-Camille combination, something that we have spoken about on many different casts when it is picked. It is a very powerful and potent combination. You drop down the Hextech Ultimatum, comboed in with the Galio going in. It's a dive buddy. It works very, very well. I feel like that was something later on in the game Mole was kind of missing. He was opportunistically finding his ways on the back line rather than having someone dive in with him. And for EDG, they're going to go with the Samira and the Gragas. So the Gragas can go up the top, can go into support role, but they have locked themselves in, and immediately we see Y4 going towards the Vayne.
And this is interesting. We remember, he has played this champion before, actually played it numerous times throughout his career. He was on the same roster, was an understudy of Uzi at one point, right? Comes from that old RNG roster. And, very interesting. I like the Gragas pick from EDG because I'm going to expect it goes towards the top lane. It's very hard to die, very hard to lock down the Hextech Ultimatum. You actually have the cask to knock the Camille away from you as well. So a bit of a decent counter pick in there. And now, once again, V5, both compositions actually, so far saying we want to get up close and personal. It's a lot about the all-in. V5's, as of right now, has more side lane threat. But when you have Vayne, Vayne's not really the type of AD carry who wants to sit in that mid lane and just catch waves. So, again, I feel like we're going to have to see more engage coming out from the side of Victory5.
We'll see what they want to go for. Like you mentioned there, they are going to look for big 5v5s. Orianna locked away, so Scout will not be getting his MVP performance again on that particular champion. Could pick it onto something else. And we'll see what EDG want to do with their last ban. And for V5, I want to see if they want to put Mole onto a counter pick. I feel like we talked about at the top of this series, Mole is the linchpin for this team. He is the guy who will make things happen, and it did very much feel like that towards the mid game in that last game. I feel like if you could just maybe slide that Galio down into Ppgod, give Mole something to counter pick with, and I love this. This could be a mid lane Nocturne. 100% this could be a mid lane Nocturne.
I still expect it to be in the jungle role as of right now, but you're right, the flex pick is always possible. I was expecting for EDG to just go with the Syndra here, and I'm kind of surprised that V5 didn't just take away the Alistar. I feel like Alistar would have been the perfect pick on 4, right? It goes well with the Samira, goes well against the Samira. You're also just a good team fighter. You can lock down the Udyr before he gets on top of you. And then the Syndra pick would have been good because, again, you're providing the range, you have the burst against the Vayne, but now that they've also locked in the Nocturne, maybe picking something with more safety would fit EDG's comp better. So right now they're hovering the Azir. I do expect them to lock it in. We've already seen Scout pick this one up twice, and it goes with the theme of their comp of those straight up 5v5 team fights. And Penguin, there's 2 flexes on this side. I can't tell you what comes next.
I can't wait to see what's going to go. Now, just to mention why Nocturne is back, he has gotten a couple of different buffs in the last patch. His cooldown on his Q, his Dustbringer, went down from 10 seconds down to 8 seconds. His Paranoia also went down by 10 seconds per rank, so it was 150 at rank 1, down to 140, 125, 115, etc., etc. But looks like they are going to be putting the Nocturne into the jungle. I'm a little bit sad because I like to see it in the mid lane, but Nocturne nonetheless has a hell of a lot of agency. And again, we're seeing V5. They're going with with this global dive buddy comp. 2 in the back, 3 in the front, go ham, try and get these 5v5s going for you.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this Nocturne pans out. I am not Vedius, not an expert on this champion. I would assume it clears much slower.
Get him in the call. Call the LEC and get him in the call. We need an expert.
I would assume he's a much slower clear than Udyr, but still, when you look at V5's comp, the first thing that jumps to your mind is obviously side lanes. Now that you also added in the Nocturne, it's going to be really rough for anyone at any point answering side waves when you could have this 3-man dive squad of Camille, Nocturne, and Galio. The problem is, though, it's not really like Syndra and Vayne can just sit safely in mid and catch waves unharmed.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than that, of course. In a vacuum, we always talk about how these things can work, and of course that doesn't always work for anybody. It has to be about, well, how the champions interact, how the players interact with each other, and how they view the situation. But for EDG, I feel like you haven't really changed a lot. You still have Viper going in. You still have a very safe control mage for Scout. They haven't really been forced onto something different. Yes, it didn't have a great early game last time, but they were able to keep Scout 100% relevant all the way through that game. When he was on 3 items, I believe the Galio was on 2.5. It was Scout kind of pushing forward with this, and I'm very curious to see if they can get this Azir going again.
And, you know, we haven't seen EDG differ from their straightforward play style at all throughout LPL this split. Like we highlighted, it's always been at least 2 frontliners, typically in top and support, same. Control mage in the mid lane, and then some sort of either hyper carry or, you know, Samira might not be a hyper carry, but she is the kind of AD carry who can take over the game with just the way her kit is. So having Viper in that carry role, it's always about the straight up 5v5 for the side of EDG, always.
Well, we'll have to see how this one goes. The first competitive Nocturne in the LPL in 2021. Weiwei, you have a little bit of expectations on you. We know Vedius is watching. He's going to want to try and build up as much information as possible because he's going to want to try and get as much of a segment out of this as he possibly can this weekend. You can see here, Jiejie and Flandre pushing themselves forward. They know they have the advantage in the 1v1 in level 1, or sorry, 2v1 in level 1, and they know that they can get this vision down. But back to the game. Got a bit excited. Looking at the 2 compositions, the Gragas shouldn't really have much agency over the Camille, but it is something that will just scale and become a nuisance later on into the game. The Azir is going to become that massive, as you say, you know, control mage that will just become a very, very difficult mid lane raid boss like we've seen Scout in the last game. But bot lane is where I'm very, very curious. There is a huge amount of engage and kill potential on the side of V5 if they do catch Viper sleeping.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually expect V5 to be the ones to take it a bit slower in the bottom lane, as we're actually getting a lot of trading in mid. We do expect Syndra to win out in the trades. Azir usually just focused on clearing out the waves in this matchup. For V5, the thing I like about this is you not only have the Condemn and the Tumble to get away from the Samira at some point, but also Galio can just lock both of them down, giving more room for the Vayne. Top lane, I think, is the most interesting matchup because against the Camille, Gragas could go back towards that phase rush because you don't win out in extended trades, but you can win out in very short trades. You throw out your, you know, small combo, you WQE in there, and then you can run away before Camille can actually return any damage thanks to that phase rush.
You can see there in the bot lane, it was Galio, Ppgod getting the control over the bush. Both junglers spotted on top of their Raptors, but you can see the clear speed from the Udyr much, much faster, already on his second half of the jungle versus just the Nocturne starting now onto his second half. And again, we could see a very similar setup to what we saw Leanne do with Rare Adam when he got this pick on the blue side. Look to try and get a gank as quick as possible. He's already onto Krugs, and the Raptor, or sorry, excuse me, the Scuttlebug has yet to spawn. This is where it can be a little bit dicey for V5. They should know something like this should be happening.
And we also see EDG holding the wave so it can't crash into turrets. So they're definitely thinking of setting something like this up. They're definitely putting Weiwei and Ppgod in a position where they're in danger.
There we go, Jiejie spotted out, and immediately everyone backing up. Weiwei has got blue buff, and they might look for a bit of a collapse here. Jiejie not going to be caught out again. Weiwei knows exactly what can and can't be done for the Udyr, but with the wave now pushed in favor of EDG in the bot side and in the mid lane, they have priority. They have the options to pinch if they so choose, and Weiwei respectfully backs himself away.
And now we are going to see Jiejie able to double scuttle. So, you know, they won last game with pretty much getting outfought early game by V5. This time they are having a much better early game this time around. Sure, Flandre is down in lane, but he is going to stay that way. The good thing for V5 is, as we see here, they have gank set up in all 3 lanes. So Weiwei has a ton of options this game. And despite the fact that I expected him to just wait for that level 6 mark. Oh god, Weiwei.
Viper? Okay, he's got the dash. He should be able to get himself out, no problems whatsoever. I felt like they had separated, and I got a little bit scared for the EDG bot lane, but they just make sure that Weiwei was delayed in his back, and we can see, ooh, the CS differential. Jiejie, he's not looking for ganks. He's looking for farm, and he's looking to get ahead as quick as possible. He's already got a level lead and about 12 CS as well, so that's 3 camps.
I think it's definitely the smart play. He clears so much faster than the Nocturne. And then, right, the first thing we're going to wait for is the level 6 play coming out from the Nocturne. You can make it in any of your 3 lanes. You go mid, Scout of the Week comes up from Mole, you instantly burst the Azir. You go top, the Hextech ultimatum's there. But Jiejie actually going to be the one to find a gank mid first.
Yep, Jiejie got to find it. Not going to use the flash up from Mole. First blood to Scout, and EDG starting off this game right.
They are. I mean, now you're going to be able to get that wave in. Mole doesn't have TP either, so it's going to lose a lot of gold and EXP in the mid lane. So Scout should find a bit of a lead here. And still, you just lost another camp as Weiwei. Your level 6 spike is going to be denied. Level 6 already there for Jiejie. By the time the ultimate comes out from Weiwei, you're going to make a choice, and if Jiejie can be there, you're going to hard lose the 2v2 or 3v3 that could potentially be taken.
Yeah, and if I'm the side of V5, I'm looking towards that top side. You will have level 6 for Langx very, very soon, so the Hextech ultimatum to lock down Flandre would be the easiest of ganks. Yes, you can go for Scout, but he's still a very slippery champion. You need that kind of hard lockdown for Nocturne to really get kind of any kind of purchase into his ultimate. It's one of those, you have to work for him rather than him working for you, and that's why we don't really see the Nocturne picked all that often. And you can see Jiejie now, he's going to feel very, very confident just roaming in, feeling himself, just roaming down towards these bot sides, just keeping his lanes in check.
I was going to say, I actually feel like Weiwei, once he hits 6, should put more focus spot, because again, that cask, oh my god, Meiko goes in.
Ppgod flashes away. They do get the stun down, 3 times the charm. Jiejie taking a couple of hits. They have got the silver bullet procs coming down. And Weiwei has to back away. The Dustbringer's not there. Scout, though, in a little bit of trouble. Has no flash. Mole expending his as well. This could be a bit of a trade. The Emperor's Divide is still there. They do land the Scatter of the Week. There's the Emperor's Divide. One more auto attack will do it, but no, he's not able to get it. Mole dies! Scout survives, and he says he's the king.
I mean, he almost pulls it off. He almost solo kills Scout, but almost doesn't mean anything. He goes down in the end. And that is so tragic. We talked about, I don't want to just blame this on mental. I don't want to use excuses. We talked about the possibilities of like V5 coming into game 2. And this is just such a bad start for them. It's about 1.5k gold lead. But again, I feel like especially with Jiejie being so far ahead, it's going to be really hard for V5 to find any opportunities anywhere. Let's get a replay of what goes down. Nice Scout of the Week to start things off. The comment does land as well. Chains with his W. Flashes over to land the ultimate. Sadly, doesn't have enough damage. And this is where we did come back in. Luckily, Scout does actually level. So he also gets his ultimate as well as getting a bit of health and mana from the Triumph. Sadly, not enough damage. The ult comes down. He gets the shield there from the dash as well. And yeah, just a bit unfortunate for Mole.
Just perfect, like, pathing as well from Scout. You could see him, he dips in a little bit to the tower just to get that tiny sliver of XP that he knew he needed. It was a good plan from the side of Mole. He recognized that he was level 6. He had a wave pushing in. He could definitely force a lot out of Scout. Just wasn't able to execute, and this is why Scout is so damn good. This is why we consider him to be a top 3 mid laner in the LPL. This guy has been consistently being able to outplay many a mid laner, be it rookie, be it knight, it does not matter. And he just is finally looking like he might be on, like you and Clement said, the best year of his life. Now, important to notice, both mid laners did expend their flashes. We can see now Ppgod and Meiko with Jiejie trying to see if they can go for something here. Look at the paranoia down, or sorry, the impending nightmare. Yeah. Now we have a little bit of a skirmish here. Mole caught out. They have to use the paranoia, but he is dead on arrival. Now Weiwei jumps in, and oh dear. Oh dear, I think the mental is what you talked about, and I think the mental was what's broken in this game. 6 kills to 0, 8 minutes and 50 seconds in. 3,000 gold to EDG.
And this was a depressing one, right? We look at game 1, and despite the result, it maybe told us, hey, maybe we'll have a close series. Maybe we'll have a close back and forth where V5 can punch above their weight, which they have done considerably, right? They hadn't been 2-0'd until they lost to TT in their last match. But now, things not looking quite good. EDG here to punish. I like that you mentioned the play in mid. Scout, of course, playing phenomenally. Mole, once again, very much like game 1. You already got his ear so low, you didn't need to go for that first play, but we're going to get a replay of this. We see him trying to hover towards mid because they want to pincer around because Vayne and Nocturne are already coming. Great ultimate coming out from the Azir. And Meiko and Viper just easily able to follow up. The Ignite comes down and make Viper, flashes to finish that one off. And I don't know how you play this game anymore on the side of V5. Being Langx right now must feel extremely bad. The game just collapsed around you. You don't even get to play every match.
Yeah.
This is your first match back in like 3 or 4 series.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be disingenuous to say that if he got knocked out, it's not disingenuous to say it's not even his fault. I feel like the rest of his map has just collapsed around him. You can see a level lead now for Jiejie over Weiwei. We can see Flandre just being bullying out Weiwei, just trying to take out the extra gold and extra experience on those last little pros.
It's hilarious.
This is bullying. This is not a fun time for V5 and EDG. This is why they're such a scary team. You went toe-to-toe with them in the first game. You kept it very even. Hell, you even got a little bit ahead. You still lost. You gave them a small advantage here in the early game, which is now turned into a massive advantage coming up to the mid to late. Or sorry, early to mid. They're just rolling you. There's no other way to put it. And I feel bad. I don't want to be, disrespecting any of these players, but this is just the difference between EDG and what feels like the rest of the pack.
Yeah, and again, it feels like that V5 are one of our higher variance teams in the LPL. They've taken games off some of the best. They took a game off WE. They almost took a game off EDG in that first series. But they're also the team that can get 2-0'd by TT, which is quite disappointing because we know the individual level of these players is here. But I don't know. It feels like they do take a lot of chances, and yeah, they just got punished this time around. They're also very one-dimensional, right? That was what we thought V5's biggest problem was in 2020. Was they're very one-dimensional in the way they like to play the game. You know who the set factors are. You know they're going to leave topside on an island. You typically know what Y4 is going to play and how he's going to play it. And it's usually up to a combination of Weiwei and Mole this split because Ppgod and Y4 and Sugar haven't been having the same impact in most games like they did in 2020 with Ppgod and Sam D.
You can see here 2-level difference into the mid lane, just short up to 1 there by Mole. And there's nothing he can do. You're on the Syndra. You're far behind. The Azir just outranges you. The Azir just out damages you at this point in the game, unfortunately, because he's just got the levels to stay alive during these skirmishes. And you can see now with EDG having priority over the bot side, knowing that they have priority in the mid lane, Jiejie can run in. There's the paranoia just to dissuade. It's literally just to keep this tower alive. That's all that paranoia did.
That's actually the thing that I think is more important than even just the isolated mid lane matchup, that now jungle is losing and bot is losing. So bot lane's consistently pushed out. You don't have vision of where Jiejie is. As Mole and pretty much as every V5 member, you always need to be conscious that Jiejie can be there and you can only play under turret. So where EDG can keep doing what they're doing, you just keep sending this like 4-man rotation between mid and bot, and there's really no answer that Y4 or Mole have. Weiwei is underleveled and much weaker than Jiejie, who already has the Turbo Chem tank, and EDG can just drop this Herald and be on their way. And at this point, right, Turbo Chem tank out for Flandre as well. He's not in fear of any solo kill coming out from Langx. He still has his E, he still has his ultimate, and the flash is there as well. So honestly, for V5, you can.
Oh my god!
I bet if we had his player camp, he's still laughing. I bet he's still laughing. But you can try to all in one side, but like Scout has TP, so he can still answer a play. Viper having his Immortal Shield Bow, I actually think they could probably win a 3v4 or a 4v5. Just look at it.
Flandre
can just disrespect him.
It's tough to watch as an independent. It is tough to watch and have to commentate over, but this is the issue that we said about V5, and this is what we were worried about coming into this game, the mental boom that you can come into, and you can see Meiko just jump straight in on top of Ppgod. They have got a 3v4 in favor of EDG. Weiwei forced to flash away, but they're just flashing in on top of him. He's trying to keep himself alive, but they jump straight back onto Mole. Mole will not be able to trade back any kills. 2 quick kills going over to Samira onto Viper. They can take a dragon, they can take mid lane, they can take whatever the hell they want. This game is EDG's. This map is EDG's.
Yeah, this is where, right, the intellectual honesty comes in, where we could talk about what plays on the map EDG should make, what, you know, they have these pryos, they can roam these champions and go here. The thing is, when you're 6k gold up at 14 minutes, you're stacking dragons, all of your champions have an item lead this early into the game. EDG are going to do whatever they want. EDG, if we see Jiejie bot side, he's going to look for some kills bot side. If he's around mid, we're going to see the rotation towards mid. Flandre is constantly trading with Langx, doesn't really care what's happening. Unless something happens like game 1 for EDG, this is done. Because look, right there was exactly what we talked about. Langx, you can't even focus the Gragas anymore. That's why I feel like the play.
Look at him, he's laughing, he's still laughing!
Yeah!
He's still laughing because he knows that he's under no threat. Uses the explosive cast to purely kill out the wave. Has flash available to him. Langx and Mole, or sorry, not Mole, excuse me, Ppgod invest everything and they get his flash. That is not worth it in any spectrum of the world right now. And the RNG gods are with the side of EDG. They're the ones who are stacking dragons and they get themselves an Infernal Soul to boot. Meiko walking up towards this top side, just going to be dissuading Langx, who did get his Triforce finished up, but like, what do you do? There is no counterplay to this.
Ppgod, you know, isn't that a bigger slap in the face though? You played last game, you get a Cloud Soul. You come into this game where, okay, now you have the bad early game. EDG gets Infernal. That is the biggest slap in the face. But yeah, point is, I feel like earlier on, what I was trying to highlight was, for V5, I feel like the Nocturne play had to be around bot, because I feel like Gragas has too much outplay potential in against Camille on that top side. You're trying to set up bot, you're trying to get the Vayne ahead, you have the lockdown with the Galio, the Syndra can roam as well, you have TP for Langx to potentially follow, Langx can kind of outplay the top dives as well, but when the map collapsed early from mid and from jungle, it just meant that your side lanes had no way to play the game.
Oh no, even the Rift is against them. Even the Rift is against them. Just not giving them a single advantage whatsoever.
Yeah, and EDG are just going to keep going for it.
Yeah, they should, and they can continue this one. Paranoia uses to try and get everyone out alive, but when you're already in the middle of 4 members or even 5 members of EDG, they can see you very, very clearly. There is a fantastic explosive cast. The other ones were just bait. They were just saying, you know, we can't use explosive cast aggressively. No, Flandre knows this champion. They pick up another few kills, and this game, honestly, like right now and the way it's playing, I know I probably talked about this a couple of times in different games. This could be a perfect game for EDG. They are playing so damn well, and V5 is playing so damn poorly that I don't know if they're going to get anything.
Yeah, I mean, right, V5 look kind of broken at this point. For EDG, now it's about coming back on the map. We're going to see them take the Rift Herald. Hopefully they just throw that one down mid and get this done as quickly as possible. We see the engage coming in. Weiwei and Mole hovering around their blue buff. EDG, as we highlighted, I'm sorry, can walk in anywhere they want. Paranoia comes out, gets instantly taken down. And, I mean, you can see they can just keep going. They're just too strong. The item breakpoints are there. Great cast coming out from Flandre. Sets up for Viper to dash in. And it's done and dusted, Penguin.
It's all but done, sadly, for V5. They have to continue on with 8,000 gold behind, or a little over 8.5. Second Rift Herald will be taken 18 minutes into the game. They have taken out all the outer turrets. They are looking towards those tier 2s. There will be a dragon spawning in a minute 20. That will put them onto Soul Point. And EDG, this is just great from them. This is why we're hyping them up. This is a perfect example as to why we think these guys are... I wasn't a huge believer at the start of the split. Oh, they might try and find Flandre. I'm going to stop myself a little bit here. Flandre caught between a rock and a hard place. Does get Hextech ultimatumed on top of the hero's entrance. There is no perfect game, and the fans rejoice, V5. You shall not be perfect game today.
We take those, Penguin. The small wins are the big wins in our hearts. So V5 finding a small avenue back, getting a bit of gold in their pockets, and now running for their lives.
They are going to try and see if they can find Langx though, as they push back in on top of him. Jiejie gonna, not quite get the hook shot out. Viper cleans up that one. He is now 6-0-4, so 10 kills on his participation. Yes, you got a small respite, but it is... and the great words of Captain Flowers, the mountains of gold Graphius are saying that this is a long hike.
That is what they're saying, and you know, I hope after EDG take this dragon, which you're gonna do right now, we have Baron coming up in 25 seconds. Just go straight to Baron, EDG. Go straight there. They're not going to. I think that's way too much gambling for them. But they have the Azir, they have the Samira. They're so far ahead. They have good turn from both Gragas and Alistar. Let's just go for it, boys. Let's just go for it.
Yeah, I feel like if you're V5, you gotta throw a Hail Mary. You gotta see what you got. You gotta see what you can do.
I was talking about EDG.
Just,
V5 can't
I know
go
you
for
were,
Barons.
but I feel like I know you were talking about EDG. I'm talking about V5, and I think that V5 have to go for a crazy play, because if they don't, they're just gonna die again, and they're gonna keep dying. Here we go. There it is. 2 TPs. There's the Emperor Survive. It does not quite finish off Y4, but now he is dead. It's a 4v4 in this top side. 4v3, excuse me, as the Udi and the Samira coming in off the mini-map. Flandre will be taken down. Now it's a 4v4 as they get a double knock-up, but the health bars aren't there. The wallets are too fat. There's too much money being thrown at them, and they're just being beaten down by the gold coins of Scrooge McDuck. It is just a massacre. Jiejie, that's not even fair. You can't just walk in front of him and not kill him. That's just not a thing you should do. A total BM. And now the map is open. The gold lead is skyrocketing, and everything is going for EDG.
And if you are not a frequent LPL watcher, you might be wondering what happens. But V5 both win very fast and lose very fast. There is no in-between for V5. They will stomp you in 20 minutes, or, you know, they'll kind of escalate themselves to getting stomped in 20 minutes. And, you know, in this game 2, after that game 1, we're seeing that negative side.
Yeah, it was a coin. V5 flipped it, and sadly for them, it didn't land on heads. And it was just a sad... I feel like it's not very indicative of what V5 can do. It's not very indicative of how good these players are. And this is exactly what you said from your point of view as a coach and you know, someone who's been able to work with these players, not obviously these ones, but players in the past, that it can go one of two ways. And unfortunately for V5, they're just going to have to take the L on this one. There's nothing else you can really do here apart from accept your fate and maybe pick up a couple of kills to stop the KDAs from getting too obnoxious for the stats teams. Because you just got to think of the next series. I hate calling those. I hate saying that, but it feels like it.
I mean, it feels like the Spring Gala break, which, you know, if you viewers don't know, LPL will go on a 2-week break on the 8th. Will serve V5 very well.
Yes, it will, but we're having one last fight. Here is the hero's entrance down on top. That's on top of 4 people now. Y4 is untouched in this fight. He flashes forward, does not get a kill, though, and now he's on the wrong side of this, and there was a small glimmer of hope when there was a small moment, and I think we might be getting a Rift Herald dance to end this game.
Yeah, we are. It's over, Penguin. It's been over for pretty much the whole game. I'm glad it's over, and I'm gonna do the End Nexus call for once. Then EDG, they go for the fight, they take the win, and the Nexus explodes! Okay, I wanted to do that. I'm sorry.
Your CV lol.